gosh. Hi. This is probably like the third video I've made. Fourth, if you count the one that didn't get posted on my phone as a message to someone. But I haven't slept well. And I just started thinking about this. Christina Lopes was the one that first highlighted this concept of feminine and masculine energy. And of course I'm going to include her link in the description box. And I've mentioned it before in past videos. And as I'm going through this, right? I mentioned how I get inspiration from a lot of different places. Mostly, you know, people get inspired by the experiences that they have, right? And so anyways, squirrel. Feminine and masculine energies, what I've realized, right? And I don't know if I talked about it before, but when I refer to feminine and masculine energy, it's an energetic part of us, right? And we hold both. The feminine and masculine energies are both within us. It just happens that one tends to, you know, at times dominate the other. And when we look at the masculine energy, right, this fighting and conquering, and the feminine being more of this discerning foreseer who's like the GPS, right, as Christina Lopes refers to it as. And I'm thinking about, right, this healing process for each of us as that time approaches, because again, everybody's on a different timeline of when they get the message, of when they get the calling, of when they start their healing process even. And so even though we're in the beginning part of this transition, I felt it was important to talk about what I'm feeling I need to talk about regarding the feminine and masculine and how that healing is going to take place. And I think I mentioned it too in one of the readings that once I had way back when. Doesn't seem like that long ago really, but I did this short spread when I was just playing with the tarot, right? Getting a feel for it, what it would be like to, you know, read cards and or read the energy rather, right? Because it's really the energy kind of speaking through the cards as a tool. And that energy comes from source, God. But anyways, there's one that I talked about, twin flame, that I felt wasn't for me but for the collective. I don't know if you guys remember that. You can probably, you know, look at the videos, go back and look. But there was one where there was like 4 cards, I think, and then the 3 oracle cards, and it was about the actual feminine energy raising the wand with the fire for the masculine energy to kind of see like, hey, over here, I got the GPS type of thing. And I just kept thinking about, okay, if the feminine energy has the GPS, right? And the masculine energy has been so stubborn and so resistant to listen to authority. and there's this like pushback and like, no, I know the way, and we're going to fight and we're going to conquer and we're going to, you know, get revenge, if you will. How is the feminine going to react after years of being trampled over, after years of being hurt over and over and over and over again? Like, you know, human behavior, human instinct is like this two of swords, right? Like you're protecting, you're guarding your heart. Have you seen, I don't have tarot cards in front of me. They're still laid out on my carpet that I haven't I haven't processed over 2 days just because I just haven't. But the two of swords, it's, you know, she has like two swords right here, right? On some of them. And she's guarding her heart. And then there's one where it's like she's in a yoga pose, and she's also blocking her heart, and she's in front of this body of pool of water. It looks like a lake maybe, or a river, and she doesn't realize that it's behind her, right? And that it's not as scary as she thinks. How is the feminine going to react, right? When the masculine finally says, okay, where do we go from here, right? After they get that aha moment, where do we go from here? And as feminine energies, whether it's in a male body or female body, feminine energy has an obligation to really use discernment, right? To take a step back and go within, right? And think about, okay, take a deep breath, close your eyes, ask the question, go within, avoid attachments, make a decision for the collective, right? Which means I have to separate myself from the hurts, from the pains, from the cycles, from this continued pattern of being in this relationship with my other part of me, the other part of me, so to speak, and think, okay, they finally have this aha moment, right? This aha moment. What do I do with that? Mind you, okay, I struggle with my feminine energy. I am very masculine at heart. I fight for what I want. I will trample other people if I need to. I can be really harsh. I can be really cold. A lot of people don't see that about me, but I have that in me because I've shocked people when I do it. So I know it's there, and I've reached what I've reached because of that masculine energy. I've guarded my heart. And when I've opened it, my feminine, when I've allowed my feminine to come out, it gets trampled. She gets trampled, and she doesn't get acknowledged, and she gets shut up and feels shame and embarrassment for showing her emotional side, right? For showing the nurturing side, for being told where her place is in society, trying to find her voice. And she's transformed into this masculine energy, right? And it's like a personality disorder almost, right? I mean, when we think about trauma in mental health, it can potentially, depending on the severity of the trauma, you potentially create this other, for some people, they create this other personality that kind of steps over and says, hey, you've been trampled on, I'm gonna protect you now, and I'm gonna be this other person, knock you out a bit so you don't know what's going on, and I'll act on our behalf, right? Of course, that's one extreme. But if we're talking about finding that balance within, between energies, masculine and feminine energies, and the masculine finally realizing, so a masculine could be a female person, gender, just with a strong charge, let's go energy. The feminine is at a crossroads about how to perceive the situation and how to respond, right? And I want to encourage all of you feminine warriors, feminine gentle warriors, to remember the lessons, right? To remember the lessons, to ask the right questions, is what MJ said, to ask the right questions, and then use discernment about how to move forward. And if the response is genuine, if the response is honest, if there's integrity, if there's no bullshitting, really, no bullshitting, giving it to you straight. It's like you're looking at the devil in the eye and then calling their bluff. If you sense that they're bluffing, call it out. Don't be afraid. But do so in a very compassionate and loving and nurturing way. Because you can do that. You can embrace that feminine energy, that part of you. And this is, again, talking to male or female genders. You can embrace that feminine, what do I have up there? Energy, which is this sense of groundedness, nurturing, caring, healing, faithful, kind, loyal, trustworthy, patient, hopeful, understanding, generous, compassionate being. And speak the truth with compassion. Ask the questions with compassion, right? Because the masculine has also been hurt. And we just don't see it sometimes. The masculine has also been hurt because of expectations, right? And Jordan Peterson talks about it, how there's a lot of great movements out there that by no means should be dismissed. But there's a balance of how things get communicated, how the message gets communicated, right? You don't want to trample over someone. You don't want to trample over your masculine side, because that's not helpful either. And Jordan Peterson talks about that in his videos, about just finding that balance, really, right? Being fair on both ends, not generalizing it to all men or all of a certain race or all of a certain social construct, whether it's the police or corporates or corporate businesses or politicians, right? It's about finding that balance and recognizing, discerning the difference, so that when you respond, you can do so within your own strength, right? You can do so within your own strength, knowing that it's like that sense of like, you have a choice too. I mean, I'm thinking of kindergartners, and when we're teaching them social skills, when they're teaching them how to be good sports, right? After, if you lose a game over and over and over again, all of a sudden you win a game. Are you going to just go and laugh in their faces of the opposing team? No, right? That's harsh. They suffered a loss. Because you know what it feels like to have lost. You know what it feels like to have been trampled on. And you have the history embedded in you. You have the hurt. Just because you've been hurt doesn't mean that you have to hurt, right? You can choose a different route. It's like bullying. When we talk about bullying in the schools, right? Usually bullies come because they have a history of being hurt. They have a history of some type of lack of a voice or being trampled on, teased. And so in a way to defend themselves, they will then do the teasing, right? And that's someone who does it unconsciously, really, is acting unconsciously, they're emotionally reactive as a way to guard themselves, as a way to protect themselves. And we try to come in and teach them a different way, right? A different skill, communication skills. So then we look at adults, right? And it's just like, okay, kindergarten teacher, feminine energy. We have to go in there and take that same approach. and remember that they too have been hurt. The masculine sides of us, of our society, have been hurt, have been trampled on, have been blamed just as much as we have, if not possibly worse. They've been exposed to trauma after trauma, war after war, right? How long did it take for women to have a voice in war, in joining the army or military or the armed forces, right? Before then, it was all men. All men seeing the hurt and the pain of war, the trauma that was embedded in them that we now know can continue in our genes, passed on cycle after cycle after cycle, the effects, the after effects of trauma. And so I encourage you, feminine energies, to remember that when the masculine energy says, okay, where do we go from here? We have an obligation to not respond like the past energies have responded, but to respond differently, despite being hurt, taking the higher road, right? Showing the correct way to respond, the fair way to respond, the more helpful way to respond, the way that will promote more healing, because we are now the models of how to do that, right? Our lessons have made us stronger over the years to prepare us for this moment when our masculine sides relinquish the control and say, okay, you're up. Lead the way. I'm currently in a position of trying to figure out what steps to take next. And for those that know me, when I get caught in my head, I get caught in my head. Like I can't sleep. I'm all over the place. And it doesn't help that I'm picking up on all these energies through the songs and through the emotions. And it's just draining. It's draining. But I'm embracing it because I know I'm only at the beginning. I will get better at protecting my energy, filtering it in, finding an outlet for it, right? Finding an outlet for it so that I can figure out how to discern it from it actually being about me versus somebody else, the collective. And I think I've realized that that's what's happening. I'm confusing my situation that I'm currently experiencing with the experience of the collective, because I'm picking up on it without even realizing it. Like, I mean, I realize it. I think I'm going to realize it more now because I was made aware of it. Thanks to Patricia 1111, by the way. I'll put her link in there too. I realize it now. And I need to, when those moments approach me, I need to use discernment, use Payu, practice Payu, listen, see and speak the truth with compassion, and ask the right questions in a direct way. I just learned that today. I need to be a little more direct. There's a time for my storytelling, and then there's a time for being a little more direct with certain people who communicate in that way. But being direct in a compassionate way, where I'm being mindful of what I'm saying. And still taking a leap of faith, knowing that this time around I will do things differently. I will set my boundaries. I will respect myself first and only give enough energy as what's put in. Not more, not less. Balance. That's what my intuition is saying. That I'm ready to do things differently. If the opportunity presents itself. And not that I'm good by myself. Ugh. What a day. It's only... I don't even have my watch. It's only 11:30. Oh gosh. These past 3 days have been forever. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Alright. I'll see you guys. I have a lot of stuff that I used to do, and I still need to bake cookies. I still need to finish holiday cards. I still need to finish work. I have a lot to do.